Hey guys, Art 17 here, and we are in week 10 still. We're going to talk about assignment number 19, which is ink drawing. So, in the previous assignment, number 18, we did the ink techniques. And if you remember, that was drawing balls or eggs using 4 or 5 different ink techniques: the stippling, the cross hatching, the scribbling, or the contour line shading techniques that you use with the pen. So that's in the week 18 video, and there were some other videos along with that to help demonstrate. So we're going to show just ink drawings today, and here's some really fabulous ones, of course. And then you'll notice that several of them are actually using the different techniques we talked about. And some of them combine the different techniques. Some of them make up their own way of doing it as well. But nevertheless, you're showing the shape of whatever you're drawing with the marks you're making. So less marks is the lighter area. More marks together, congested, are the darker areas. Just like using graphite, but only you're using the pen marks to do it. This is sort of a combination of different marks that tend to be more on the cross-hatching side of things, but you can see where the light and dark shadowing is because of the marks they're making. So no marks or less marks is the very light area, and then they get into the mid-tone with just maybe one direction of marks in this cross-hatching, and then they start crossing them over where the darker areas are. And of course, right here on the side of the nose and in the lips and then the back of the neck and the hair here, they've really congested the marks so it's very dark there. And this is how you get your shading. And this is how also you get the shape using the pen marks, okay? So this is, you can go to this and Bing Drawings on Bing Drawings, ink drawings on Bing or Google, and you'll see lots of examples of ink drawings and the marks they're making. And this one was used with the scribble marks. Really super cool, in my opinion. And then they, used other marks on the lips here and around just to darken up. Basically, what you're doing is darkening, lightening your surface of the paper with the marks you're making. So less marks is lighter, a little more is more midtones. There's various levels of midtones, probably 5 to 7, from light to dark. And then there's the darkest marks by using more marks. Let's look at what stippling does. Well, these are the stippling ideas using the dots. And as you can see, there's lots of examples here. I tend to show this one a lot because it shows the dips and folds and crevices of this rose, and the darker areas and the lighter areas that show the edges and the shape of the rose. Very congested here, not so much here, very congested here, not so much here, back and forth. And really there's no lines at all, you're using stippling only. Okay, and you can go through these on your own. The pumpkin is super cool. They probably just, I don't know how they darkened up this area here, really dark, or they just scribbled it out. I'm not sure, but that's really got a lot of contrast. Okay, so this is all the stippling ideas. And draw something of your own choice, but maybe you're going to use the stippling idea. So let's see what scribbling does. Scribbling is one of my favorite. It can really be expressive. Elvis in scribble. So that's really well done, right? but you can get there. Start slow, or start adding the darker areas, a little more scribble there. Doesn't have to be the same line all the time. You can go, start and stop different areas. And start very light. Maybe start putting in some of the darker areas and then the midtones, and pretty soon it'll start coming to life. Doesn't have to be faces either. It can be other things. Of course, they're showing a lot of faces here. Okay, here's an eagle who has a face. So it's a face. It's just not human. But you see how they scribbled this in. And they did the whole thing with scribbling. They didn't make an outline and draw it first and then start scribbling. You just have to start scribbling your form as you go. But I like the scribble, and it's actually kind of quick if you really focus in. Now you can have an image to the side you're drawing from, and then keep referencing it and going back to notice all the light and dark areas. And that's what you want to put into your scribbling effect. The more marks you make closer together, the darker it is, then the less it is. And then where you didn't put any marks, that's the very, very light area. Okay. Hatching. Hatching can be cross or not. I think they're showing a lot of cross hatching here. So, meaning the lines go in different directions over each other. And they can be straight depending on what you're drawing, though. So this has got the contour shape to the side of this because it's rounded, but the vertical ones are all straight. Now on the apple, this is all contour. It's going with the shape of the apple. As it turns this side, it goes that direction. As it turns to this side, it goes that direction. So it's showing the shape of the apple as it turns, as you go around it. Same with the basket. And same with this container. They're going in a cross motion across with the container shape, okay? Very tight cross hatching here, but you can see what they're doing. One direction marks here, then it gets another direction here and more directions. The more directions you put in your cross hatching, it gets darker because you're putting more congested marks together over each other. And you can see how they started with one direction here and then went to 2 directions, 3 to 4, and so on. That's how they got those darker areas. Lots of these are super cool. The fist, you see this in some cartoon drawing a lot. This used contour mostly. I think that works really well as opposed to just cross-hatching, which can be straight lines. They really don't show the shape all that well. So I would say contour cross-hatching is better. Okay. All right, let's look at contour cross-hatching, see what that brings. Let's just say that. Yeah, that's pretty well done. It's going with the shape of the apple. The apple is rounded, so this is going round, around like this. Kind of like if there was a straight line on it, if you were looking at it straight on, and then you're now above it, it's going to create sort of that lisp look. Okay? That's basically what's happening here. And then dark in the middle, right here, where the stem's coming out and the leaf. This is getting darker and lighter to show the shape where the sun is, or the light source is hitting on your subject. This is use a little scribble in here, see? And then some cross hatching. It's working with the shape of this bird. Very dark in here, very light here. So just less marks where you want it lighter. But you want to show a shape. You want to draw something that has shape, not something flat and then send it to me, because I'm going to say, well, where's the shape? What shape is this? Don't do something flat as paper. Do something that has rounded edges, or at least some sort of cubed edges and rounded edges, possibly, like these containers have here, these cylinders, and then you have the balls. This is showing you how to use the marks. Darker, more marks. Less dark midtones, less marks. The most less marks used create the lighter areas. And you just got to practice this over and over. Maybe practice before you do your drawing. It could be a still life like this is. It could be a face or something, a body part or something. It can be anything as long as it has a shape to it. It's not flat, okay? All right, I think that's enough for now. This is real minimum, but it really works. This is probably your more continuous line idea. It's a scribble, but it's not completely scribbled out. So that you're using the line going down, and around more than just scribbling around. So they kind of made up their own marks there, which is pretty cool. And here, somewhat the same sort of idea, but a little different. But you can go through these on your own and find more ideas. You know about stippling, scribbling, cross-hatching, contour hatching now to get shape, because you did your eggs by now. Don't do the drawing first. Do the eggs or the balls first for the number 18, all right? You want to do this one first. Ink techniques. Watch that video. Do that one so you know how to make the marks. Then go for the drawing, not the other way around, all right? Okay, any questions, let me know. And if you haven't sent me most of your work from the middle, from the beginning to the midterm area, week 8, haven't sent me all that work, you better get on it, because we're now heading into the end of the semester. And it's going to be hard to catch up if you have all these incompleted assignments kind of looming in the back. All right. Talk with you next week.